Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. The ToosDay Crue is here, hosted by Stephen LaMonica and Jay Collin. It is a Misfit Nation production that brings powerful stories of grit, resilience, and leadership to life. Stephen is a business leader and YouTube consigliere. He ensures the show runs smoothly, providing real-time feedback and maintaining discipline during live broadcasts. Jake, a 25-year Army veteran and former EOD tech. We call him Hurt Locker. We call him Lacey. Offers deep insights from his extensive service, which includes multiple combat deployments and VIP missions around the globe. Together, they welcome guests from diverse backgrounds to share their journeys, inspiring listeners with stories of overcoming adversity and leading with purpose. Whether you're tuning in for the insightful discussions or to enjoy Steven's passion for NASCAR or Jake's anecdotes from his farm in Kentucky, the ToosDay Crue delivers a unique blend of entertainment and inspiration every week. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ToosDay Crue! All right. It's Tuesday. Tonight we start off with 2 losses in the world of law enforcement. First one, Patrolman Andrew William Duarte of West York Borough Police Department in Pennsylvania, and to watch February 22nd, 2025. Our next one, Deputy Sergeant Martin Shields Jr. from Hinds County Sheriff's Office in Mississippi. He was shot responding to a domestic violence call. The woman wanted help getting her stuff out of the house, and the person inside the house did not want him or his partner in there. Shot him, his partner, and 2 females. Both females are expected to live, and then the suspect then took his own life. So keep their friends, families, their peers, their community in your thoughts and prayers as we go forward with our lives, and we try to spread kindness and happiness throughout our world. Tonight, we need you to sit back, pull them shoulder straps down, because the ToosDay Crue Cagney and Lacey are pumped to bring you an amazing chat with a great guest. Prepare to have your world rock tonight. And as always, you get it, boys.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh my goodness, we're switched. We're on the wrong sides.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I can deal with this.
What's going on?
Hey, you know that listener last week said, what would we do if we traded places? Well, we've traded places.
Yes.
So
you're in the first seat tonight. You're the boss. Look at that.
I'm first.
I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
What in the hell is happening with planes lately? Fake bomb threats, fires, crashing on the tarmac. What the hell is going on?
I don't know. It seems like one happens, they all happen. It's kind of like car wrecks on this interstate out here in front of my house. We'll go 6-8 months not have a wreck. And then just within the last month, we've had 3 tractor trailer fires, a couple turnovers, and it's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know. They just run in pairs, I guess. I don't know what's happening.
It's starting to freak me out.
Yeah, it is a little freaky. It is a little freaky. As
my favorite show, Air Disasters, I'm watching, and then every time I turn on the news, I'm like, damn, there's more.
Exactly. Well, they got to have more episodes of Air Disasters. So
okay, so that's not the way to do it. Go back, find the old ones, and you have old accidents and talk. Let's not make new ones that have something to talk about.
Yes, exactly. Rich mentioned, hey, our thoughts and prayers go out to the fallen officers. It is tragic. Folks, I know that a lot of times when, if you have an encounter with a police officer, a lot of times it is not on your best day. But please, I implore you, do not make your day worse yet. There's no sense of taking a life and taking yours as well. And speaking of taking yours as well, if you're feeling the darkness, dial 988. Take option 1. There's somebody there that'll listen to you. And if you can't find anybody there to listen to you, email me at jake@themisfitnation.com. I'll listen to you.
Or me at Steve at the Misfit Nation, Steven at themisfitnation.com. I've given out my number before. You can call, you can text.
The world is a more beautiful place with you in it. And
yes.
You might not think that in the situations you're in now, but it is. Well, Stephen, we have a great guest this evening.
Yes, we do.
I'm gonna talk about him a little bit. He's Mr. Leighton Campbell, coming to us from Davie, Florida. He's got a happiness equation where he introduces 7 insightful questions that help individuals calculate their happiness score. He does candid interviews and meaningful conversations, and him and his team have uncovered real stories of joy, struggle, and the human spirit. Now, he's going to come on our show and he's going to share his insight with us. And let's get him on here.
Fantastic. Good evening.
Good
How
evening.
are you, Leighton?
Hi, Steven. I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. I gave about a 5-cent bio, and so you're going to have to go with you're going to have to bring up another 95 cents, and you start from wherever you want to start to what got us here right now today.
Well, this whole book and project has been just kind of a culmination of my life, and everything that has happened in my life, both good and particularly bad, and being able to navigate some of that stuff has led me to a point where I feel I have something that can help people, and I want to get the word out. So the very beginning origin of this project happened with a conversation with my children. We were going through COVID, and they were separated from their friends. They were separated from their extended family, and I could tell that their mood, their affect, their happiness was just lower than it normally is, which is expected. And a lot of people, especially children, went through that during that time. So I wanted to talk to them about that, but I didn't want to have like a lecture because, a lot of times with kids, it's kind of in one ear, out one other. And sometimes if you go with the direct approach, you get resistance. So I was trying to be creative in talking about something, but not going head on with it. So what I said to them was like, hey guys, you think we can come up with an equation to measure happiness? And they were like, we have all types of crazy conversations. And they're like, yeah, maybe we could. Let's see if we can figure this out. So we start going through it. I'm quarterbacking the conversation. They're throwing out ideas. I'm writing things down. And we kind of have a conversation, maybe 20 minutes or so, and 30 minutes or so. And I look at it at the end. I'm like, wow, this is actually kind of powerful. And I thought there was something there, but I wasn't really sure. So at the time, I was in a business networking group. And I was the educational coordinator. So I was responsible every week to bring an educational topic to the group. So my particular group had 40 other business owners, and I was supposed to, as the educational coordinator, bring something related to business, life, just something to help lift the members up, give them information they didn't know, access to resources that they weren't aware of, something like that. So this particular week, I took about a week from the conversation with my children to the presentation to my colleagues. And I did a little bit more research, a little bit more reading. It was still very rudimentary at that point, but I did a presentation on your happiness equation. And I had been in that group. I'm 13 years now in that group, and I had been the educational coordinator probably 7 times. So that's 50 presentations a year for 7 years, and never getting any type of feedback that is anything to note. Maybe I get a high five on the way back to my seat. That's like the extent of it. But after I did this presentation, absolutely blown away. Almost every person in the chapter either called me, texted me, emailed me, pulled me aside and said, Leighton, that was really impactful. They started sharing things with me that I had never known about, some of them. And I was just really taken aback. I had no idea. I thought I would talk about that one time and I would never discuss it again. That was almost 4 years ago now. And a book has been written, a book tour has been had. It's just kind of been a whirlwind of just a scenario with it. And I really am striking a nerve with people. And now the book has been out in the world because our launch is on February 4th. So it's been about 2 weeks of the book being out now. And I'm getting feedback from people that I don't know and didn't have a early access to it. And I always thought it had the ability to help and impact people. And now I'm actually seeing that it has, and it can, and I'm really excited for like this next phase of it.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And when you was talking about when you finally get that feedback, and people start saying, "Hey, this, I like this. This works." Yeah. That's great stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, I was going to mention, I was thinking about it. You was talking about, and I think this is great as a father myself. Pitching that with your kids.
Yeah.
You might not have come up with anything, but you're spending time with your kids.
Yeah.
And when my kids were still living at home, I got to admit, I concentrated too much on work and didn't get to spend the time that I wanted to with them. But now every time I get to call one of them or talk to one of them, see one of them, it's just, that's part of my happiness equation, I guess.
I mean, it's part of mine too. And I talk about this a little bit in the book. I'm remarried now, but I was divorced, and we had 3 children at the time that we got divorced. And I went from 100% access to my kids to like 50%. And I had always tried to be the best father that I could. Definitely not perfect, but was trying. But that whole experience of going from 100 to 50%, I was like, man, if I'm going to only have 50% access to my kids, I'm going to make this 50% count. And that's what I did. And I have a business I run, so it's kind of hard sometimes to balance life and work like on my regular days. And I do spend time with them, help with homework. I do all that. But what we've done is we've done some epic cross country road trips together.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I've done that in that time where I was single and it was just me and them. And I look back at some of those pictures because they were a lot younger then. I must have been out of my mind. Like my youngest son was like 2 years old, and we drove from Miami to Washington State, and we hit a bunch of
Whoa.
amazing spots along the way. But we had the greatest time, and we have some of the most amazing memories from that trip. And we've had other trips, but that one specifically because that was one of our first. It and that kind of goes into some of the things I talk about in the book, because like it fills me with joy just even thinking about it and having this conversation. It brings back those memories. So yeah.
And you know what? Your children are going to remember this for the rest of their lives.
They will. Yeah. Yeah. It's been years. I don't think a week goes by that we don't make a reference, a joke about a road trip or some adventure that we've been on, And so like one of the things I've done like with my kids is, and this, all this stuff is very deep, but like one of the things that happened with me as a child is my father was not the greatest father. His father was even worse, or if you could call it that. My father had a really rough upbringing. So he was kind of pouring from an empty vessel. He probably did the best that he could, but there just wasn't really a lot to work with there. But one of the things that happened with he and I and my siblings, there were 6 of us, is that he would make promises to us of what we were going to do, and then we would never do it. And that was kind of a theme in our life. So one of the things I told my children, well, I've specifically told them this, but in my mind growing up and even before having children, I was like, look, if I tell you guys I'm going to do something, we are 100% going to do it. Like you can bet everything on it. So some of those things, like that whole trip to Washington State, was because my son saw a car drive through a tree. He said, Dad, is that real? Can you really drive a car through a tree? I was like, yeah, you redwood, sure, you could. I was like, you want to go see it?
Nice.
And because they know too, if I say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. I was like, look, this summer we're going to go and we're going to drive through a tree. And that was the whole purpose for the trip. So that's kind of like the relationship we have. And so when I say, hey guys, you want to talk about happiness, and like, let's see if we can come up with an equation, there's kind of weight to it, because they know that like I am going to actually listen to them, and I am going to, give them feedback of their ideas and so on. They're going to give me feedback of my ideas, and we just kind of build that relationship.
And
sadly, that tree isn't made for big SUVs, so it's only for smaller cars.
I knew that going in. So we drove there, but we flew back, right? Because it took us 11 days, and we stopped along the way. And there's only so much time I can be away from, my regular life,
Right.
business clients and so on. So I rented a compact SUV. It was a Jeep Liberty is what I rented. And we had to put the rear view mirrors in.
Yeah, but
we got through it.
It's a thrill driving through it, though.
Yeah. Suburban wouldn't have made it.
Roll up the windows, and everybody inside got to suck in their breath to pull the sides of the car in.
Exactly.
I can see it now. That's amazing. And again, those are probably 11 days your kids will never forget. And well, that too.
Well, you said the one was 2 years old, so I don't know how much they actually remember. Did the 2-year-old remember a lot?
Well, we actually had, you talk about it as coming up every week or so. We were talking about this week, and he was like, Dad, I really don't remember a lot of stuff that you guys are talking about. So he doesn't actually remember that much. But my older son for sure does, and my daughter also does. But we also have, technology is a double-edged sword. You can lose yourself to it. You can also create and crystallize moments. So we have all of this on recording and pictures and the stuff that they don't remember. Like I can show it to them. Like, yeah, we saw that.
Exactly.
And I look forward to going back out, like as they go into these other phases of their life, and God willing, I'll be a grandparent someday. I'm down to do it again. Like, let's go.
And I tell you, you talk about being a grandparent.
Yeah.
I can speak to. We've got grandkids now,
Nice.
and I've got to see, especially my 16-year-old granddaughter. I've got to see her grow up and doing things with her, and I'm gonna be truthful. It's just as fun, if not funner,
I bet
than it is with your kids.
there's probably like a little, I'm guessing, I don't know, you tell me, but a little less responsibility and a little more fun. Is that accurate or?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like, Peyton, do we want ice cream for supper? And so we have ice cream for supper. It's.
I love it.
That's just breaking the rules. That's all that is.
Oh yeah, that's what grandkids are for.
Yeah. Yeah, that I had a lot of people who tell me, because you get the worst advice from people. Like if you have to almost be conscious of what words you let someone speak into your life and then receive them.
Yes.
So a lot of times people will say, "It's like, oh, they're getting to that stage now. This next thing is going to be the worst part of your life and their life." And like at almost every stage of my kids growing up, I've been kind of hearing the same thing. But it's like I always reject that 100%. I think I mentioned
Yes.
before we got on the air, it's like, oh, your son's going on to college now. It's like you'll never see him again, and he's gonna be thrown to the wolf. I'm like, absolutely not. I reject all of that. Like, I think every stage has a beautiful thing that can come out of it. And one of the things I look forward to with my son is doing guy trips with my son, just me and him, going somewhere.
Nice.
Like I look forward to that. That's awesome. And then when they get older and they have their own kids, I look forward to doing trips like with them and my grandkids, and just every phase there's been something to look forward to. So I look forward to all of it.
Good deal.
So you brought up driving to the tree. I just had to scroll through my phone to find my picture.
Oh, you got one.
When I was at the tree with my wife.
That's awesome. I've been
We drove
at
through it.
that
Then we
spot.
took pictures.
I've been at that spot. That's awesome.
I just sat here for 2 minutes, scroll through pictures. Like I
You
gotta
got
find that damn picture.
You got
I
it.
have not been there yet.
It's recommended, man. I don't know. I think most of the fires and stuff are more like LA. I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about Northern California being affected too much. So, but all this stuff, man, is like if you're interested and you can and you have the time and the situation is right, I recommend all that.
Awesome. It's yeah. Well, first of all, you're spending time together. Second of all, you're seeing parts of this great nation. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff out there.
A lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
Stephen, we have a question for us.
yeah, I saw that.
From @Fangirl76, Stephen and Jake, if you could have any historical figure as a guest on the ToosDay Crue, who would it be and why?
How about Mr. The Nation? Only because he wants to know. I don't know. What do you think?
Who do I think? Oh, I've got mine picked out. Molly Pitcher.
I'm not sure who that is. Is that a known thing on the podcast?
No, Molly Pitcher was a woman who fought in the War of Independence, specifically at the Battle of Monmouth, and she did everything from carrying water for the troops to manning an artillery piece. She was a tough one, and yeah, she's just a great woman.
Wow.
And yeah, she would be a historical fiction person that I would like to interview.
All right. Yes, a rest area in New Jersey named for her.
Is that true?
Yeah, there is.
Oh, cool.
Okay, hey, here's one from you from @HappyCamper22. Leighton, what inspired you to create the happiness equation, and did you expect it to resonate with so many people?
So what caused it was essentially that conversation with my children, and trying to, get that message of the importance of happiness and what kind of goes into it. I did not know before my presentation to my group that it would resonate with anyone at all. I wasn't really sure what kind of response I was going to get. I thought I would never talk about it again. However, pretty much everywhere I've gone, because we've been on I didn't do this with my children, I did this with my brother. We went on a cross-country book tour, and we talked about the your happiness equation, and all of that. We did street interviews and everything, and it's resonated everywhere I go with it. So at first, I wasn't really sure the response. Now, it's common that it does resonate with people, and I hope that continues. So far, that's been the situation.
Okay. So, your book came out on February 4th.
It did.
We can get that on Amazon, or where can we buy that?
You could buy it online anywhere books are sold.
Okay.
So you can definitely buy it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books A Million. Like, you can, anywhere books are sold, you can buy it. Amazon is, a lot of people have instant ready access to Amazon, so that's been a place I've directed a lot of people to. But if you have a preference somewhere else, it's available there too, online. We're a small project looking to grow and get bigger and make a bigger impact, so we're not in physical bookstores yet, although bookstores have access to the book. So if you went into a local bookstore and you tell them you want your happiness equation, they can order it for you also.
Okay. All right. Now, speaking of the happiness equation,
Sure.
let's run down through it. And for our listeners out there, maybe they can kind of, there's 7 steps to it.
7 questions. Yeah.
7 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go through and let's ask some questions, and maybe we can just do a little online test here and see what everybody's happiness equation is.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Oh, I don't mind at all. We can. I'm down for whatever. So.
Okay.
Okay. So your happiness equation quiz. It's 7 questions. And then at the end of that, you're going to get a score on a 0 to 100 point scale. Now, for your listeners, they can, for free, no cost, no obligation. You don't have to provide a credit card. You don't even have to give your email address. I really tried to make this accessible to as many people as possible. You can go onto our website, yourhappinesseq.com, and you can take the quiz right now for free and answer these questions we're about to go over, and you can get your score.
Okay.
So that's available for free to all your listeners. So the very first question is, are your basic human needs being met? So that's a yes or no question. Okay.
The
second question is, do you belong to any meaningful groups that meet regularly? Okay. Again, a yes or no question. The third question is, on an A+ to F scale, how would you rate the value that you bring to those groups? So that's your third question.
Okay. So you're having to rate your value.
Yes. This is a self-evaluation. Yep.
Okay.
And as your listeners go to the website, there's going to be like a drop down box by every question, and you can pick where you fall.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the third question.
Okay.
The fourth question is on an A plus to F scale, how would you rate your gratitude? Okay.
Okay.
And the fifth question is when a meaningful situation doesn't go as expected, negative impact on your emotions lasts. And then you have three options: short time, moderate time, or long time. So those are
Okay.
the three options to choose from. Now, your sixth question is, do you believe your life has a purpose? It's number 6.
Okay.
And then the seventh and final question is, on an A plus to F scale, how would you rate your progress to achieving your purpose in life? And that's the last question.
Okay.
So to put this in context, as yourselves and your listeners heard these questions, this score is not a measure of your emotional level of happiness at the time you take the test, because almost none of the questions, except for maybe the very first one, is like super tied to your present moment. What your score is it's a measure of the strength of the structures in your life that have the capacity to produce the byproduct of happiness.
Okay.
So that may sound daunting, possibly, but it's actually good. And the reason it's good is because through effort and the right information and being intentional, you can build structures in your life. Almost anyone can do it. You can build structures in your life that have the capacity to produce happiness. And we talked about them, some of them already in the lead up. Like, it was a monumental thing, and it was kind of expensive to a degree to like drive my kids all the way across country and have that experience with them. But it still produces happiness in my life to this day. And I imagine it probably will for the rest of my life, and not only me, for them. So that's like an example of something that you can do. You can build these relationships with with people. So when I ask, do you belong to any meaningful groups? It doesn't have to be an organized group with a president and a treasurer, and so it doesn't have to be that. It can be that if you belong to a group that has that structure and those people are meaningful to you, and vice versa. But it could also be just you and your spouse. It could be you and your family unit. It could be you and your small group at church. It could be any group of people that you are linked to. There's shared values. There's norms around how that group operates. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So yeah.
Okay. All right. We got a question here from Lead and Follow, and or they, I don't know who this is. Can you read an excerpt from your book?
I can. I mean, would you like me to do that?
Sure. Read us a page,
Uh,
or just
Well, just pick something, yeah. Because I just took the thing and I got a 98, by the way.
oh wow. Congratulations. That's awesome. Okay, so I'll read this part because this is the part where my beta readers. So beta readers are people who get like an advanced copy of the book prior to it going to even your editor. So it's like a very raw version. And they said that this part of the book really kind of captured them, and it kind of like locked them in. It's a little intense, but maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Let me see if I can get to it real quick. All right. Scarves. Okay. All right. I've never done this on a podcast, but this is great. All right. I consider myself incredibly blessed and a naturally happy person. Incidentally, those are the only two requirements for authoring this book. You may think I have gone through life always winning, or I am an extremely lucky person. If so, you're right. That is how I see my life. Yet, I have had my share of tragedies to contend with. Warning, toxicity dump ahead. For context, here are a few I have faced in my life: poverty, hunger, being held at gunpoint, being held at knife point, the near death of a sibling, abandoned by my father, almost kidnapped, violent racism, had dogs sicked on me, survived a life-threatening car accident, failed career, betrayals, unsuccessful as an author. This is a reference to my first book, not this one. Near miscarriage of my first son, diagnosed with cancer, difficult relationship ending in divorce, death of loved ones, health issues, failed businesses, a son with learning disabilities, blended family issues, defrauded out of tens of thousands, a pandemic, indifference by the death of my father, multiple recessions, financial crises, and more. I could go on, but I set the table there just to let people know, like, I have been through life. And I know other people have been through a lot more than I have. I even go on to say that I'm not trying to, and I don't encourage people to measure my tragedies against yours. I'm just letting you know that, like, I haven't had a perfect life. So I'm writing the book from that standpoint.
And I totally, and I commend you for being honest enough in your book to, I mean, you're basically bearing your heart out there on paper for anybody who gets the book to read. And I think it's good that even though all this negative stuff happens, that you can still find happiness. And that's amazing.
And a point on that, because I'm glad you brought that up, Jake, and I do talk about this, but one of the things I talk about in the book is that you have to find the good out of everything you've been through. And of all the things I listed in there, I can name you a positive thing that came out of it. And the reason why that's important, because if you don't do that, then you have the capacity and the tendency to think of your life as a string of negative events. You know, I went from this thing that was negative to this thing that was negative, and then this negative thing happens, and then that's the way you perceive your life. And even though I've had a bunch of negative things happen in my life, I honestly think, and I think you guys kind of can tell maybe by the conversations we've had now and right before, like, I love my life. I really think I'm an extremely fortunate person, even with all that stuff that has happened. And my editor made me take some stuff out because she was like, Leighton, it's too much. But that's the stuff that she co-signed on. Stuff she didn't co-sign on was even heavier.
Well, you're just proving to everybody that you can't fall down that hill, but you climb back up and you're raising yourself up higher. You know, because all that shit happens and you just keep building yourself right back up. So that's a great thing.
And
you're not just lying down and saying, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, because there's so many people out there that, and we all know these people that just, I don't truthfully think they want to be happy. They want to revel in their own misery.
Actually, I agree with you, Jake. Like, I get that question is like, can everybody be happy? And I always say, no, I don't think so. I've been around.
Not at all.
Yeah, I've been around a lot, and I've been all over the world, all over the country. I've experienced a lot, just generally. And it's like everything I've kind of seen is like there's a bell curve distribution. You know, at one end of the curve, you're going to have people that cannot be unhappy. It doesn't matter what happens to them. They don't have to work at it. They're just always happy. Nothing ever affects them. It's just the way they're wired or nature, nurture. I don't know. And then you have the middle of the bell curve where like people can be happy if they work at it, if they have the right information. It may take some effort, but they can get it if they want it. And then you have that percentile that's usually it's like 1%, you know, or less, or 1.5%, something like that, where they don't want it. And when I wrote this book, I didn't write the book for those people. because I know how that is. It's it's a fool's errand almost to pour your life out to someone who's not going to receive it. I wrote that book for the people in the middle who can be happy. They feel like it's tough, but they feel it's possible. Like if they had the right information, if they had the right, and I don't know that this is the right information. I know it's the right information for some people,
Mhm.
and other people have written other books and just putting other stuff out there that will resonate with them. But I think this will help people in that middle group who want to be happy. They want the right information. I think this book is going to be that information, that resource for hopefully many, many people.
And I hope so, because like I know when I work at it, when I try to live a life of gratitude, and I try to live. I tell myself, hey, you're going to do things, and you're going to be happy. Uh, and like I was going down through the questions, all my needs are met, and I'm pretty good. I don't know where I scored. I didn't do it to keep score, but I don't know. To me, it's much easier to be happy. I'm healthier when I'm happy,
Yeah.
because I could walk around pissed off at the world all day. It's really not going to change anything. And my gut and my head's going to hurt because I've been pissed off all day. And once I got,
I was going to say, I'll bring you to work with me for a week, and we'll see if any of this changes working with the public.
question, do I have to work with your brother while I'm working for you?
No.
Oh, well, shoot. Sign me up. No, I'm just kidding, Rich.
Yeah, but I work retail, and it's not a happy place sometimes.
What Jamming to the Oldies has a question for us. Out of the 7 questions in the happiness equation, which one do you find people struggle with the most, and why?
Oh, okay. I misread the question first. I thought it was the one I struggle with the most, and I'll share that. The one I don't know that I've found like one that I could identify as the most popular one that people struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
The one that pings me when I hear it as, wow, there's really an opportunity to improve your happiness a lot, is when people say they don't have any meaningful connections. That's really it's tragic, but the good thing is, and I talk about this, is like awareness is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause you can't change anything that you're not aware of needs to be changed. So maybe this book will be the catalyst for people to like survey their life and be like, well, you know what? I basically just go to work and I come home and that's about it. I don't have meaningful people that I interact with. I need to change that. So if people can get that out of the book, mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. And a lot of times those meaningful relationships that we have with people, and we here on the show, we are very, very, we try to help with suicide. To me, a meaningful relationship with somebody is probably one of the best things that can help prevent that. If you have somebody to talk to, somebody to take your problems to, or just somebody to, sit with, you don't have to say a thing.
Yeah.
But you need human contact.
I agree. And what I would also challenge listeners, and I say this to pretty much everywhere I go, is you may be okay right now. Like your life might be perfect and you're happy, but you don't have those meaningful relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the time to build them. Because you're going to need them. Dr. John Deloney, he wrote a book recently, How to Build a Non-Anxious Life. And he's part of the Dave Ramsey crew. And most of their stuff is about finance, but he's more of like the relationship guy and the mental health guy. And in his book, he said that having meaningful this is a paraphrase, so not exact, but having meaningful connections and people in your life is like your emergency account. It's like your financial emergency account. However, there are some things that can happen in life, and unfortunately, a lot of these are inevitable. Is money is not a solution. You could have all the money in the world, and certain tragedies happen, and the money is not going to help you get through it. But what is going to help you get through it are other people. So, just like you need to save money, like you don't want to wait for the rain to come to start saving. You want to save money while the sun is out.
Yeah.
The same thing with your relationships. You want to be intentional about building these relationships while everything is good, because we all know, I mean, we've talked about some pretty real stuff already, and the way the show opens is pretty, you know, intense in terms of bringing awareness to some of the issues that first responders and police officers face. Life happens. Life is real. You never know what's coming around the corner. Like, build that emergency fund of having quality people in your life that you trust, that love you. So when these things happen, you have people that are there with you and are able to help you get through it. And you are there for them also. It's not just about you. It's you being there for someone. You don't know, someone you reach out to and build a relationship with, trying to like get people in your life. You may be the one that's blessing them and helping them through an issue before they do any of that for you.
Yes. And some folks I know had to work on that. They are a very helpful person. They love giving help to people, and they will drop whatever they're doing to help people, but would never ask for help. And when help would come their way, they would basically turn it down. And once they learned that you're blessing that person that's doing the help as well as them blessing you, is, you know, and once you realize that, it's like, hey, okay, now here's another way to be happy. So,
I specifically talk about that in my book, specifically. And that was a lesson. I was like that. I wouldn't let people do anything for me. Couldn't pay the check. Don't even buy me presents. Like I rejected help from people. And one of the pastors, I'm a Christian, and I disclose that in the book, but I don't write any of this from like a theological standpoint, because people are all over the board with that. But this particular lesson I did get from a pastor in a church that I went to. He was like, you're robbing people of the opportunity. If you don't let people do things for you, you're not only harming yourself, you're kind of harming them as well. And if somebody someone that you love and loves you, wants to bless you, wants to help you, and it's within their means and their capacity and so on, allow them to do that.
Yes. I'm a firm believer in that. And it makes life better.
It does.
It makes life better. Stephen, we got a couple more.
Well, we missed a question from earlier. If we can put this up, and then we'll go to the ones that he just posted.
Okay, pop it up.
Smiles from Miles. During your travels and interviews for the mini documentary, what was the most surprising or eye-opening story you encountered?
There have been a lot, but okay. So, one of the things my brother and I had done is unrelated to this project. Is we went and we saw all 7 wonders of the world together.
Nice.
And it was a pretty amazing experience. So one of them took us to Jordan. So that Petra is the name of the wonder of the world that's there, but it's right next to Egypt. So while we were in Egypt, we went and saw the pyramids and saw some other stuff. Egypt was an extremely complicated place. It was a very interesting time, and I don't say interesting from a like an enjoyment standpoint. It was challenging in a lot of ways, and in a lot of negative ways. Just to be as honest as I can without going too crazy with it. So that was kind of my personal experience with Egypt. So we went to the University of Tennessee, because we're on this road trip and we're doing street interviews with people. And we would just set up on campuses, and we happened to be at University of Tennessee for this particular interview. And one of the guys, I pull him aside and was like, "Hey, can we ask you 7 questions about happiness and on camera?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." So he was an Egyptian guy, but he was a Coptic Christian, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's a Christian church in Egypt that has been heavily persecuted to the point where they have had to, a lot of them have had to leave Egypt. And I didn't know, but there is actually a large Coptic Christian community in Tennessee. And when I say large, I think he said it was between 20,000 100,000. But his interview was very meaningful on a lot of levels, because he talked about how his parents sacrificed, and I can only imagine what they did to get out of Egypt. And maybe I'm just putting more on the story that was there, but I can kind of tell from when he talked about his parents' sacrifice, it was more than some other immigrant stories. 'Cause I wasn't born in the U.S. either. I was born in Jamaica, but I was raised here from 3 months old. And he talked about how important it was for him to like make his parents' sacrifice worth it. And when I told him that I had been to Egypt, like a lot of times when I talk to people, I was like, "Oh, I've been to that country." It's like a smile and a camaraderie, and we have a bond. And he was like, he smiled and he was like, "Oh, so you kind of understand." And we didn't really say those words, but it was kind of like the unspoken body language that happened there. So that was a meaningful interview that I'll never forget.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, because a lot of those countries over there, if they suspect that you're a Christian, it's not good.
Yeah, I can I can see how it would be complicated. We had our when we left Egypt, it was kind of like the movies where we weren't necessarily running from anybody, like there was no one chasing us, but we did not get a very warm welcome in Egypt. It was pretty made known to us that our presence was not appreciated, essentially. And normally I'm the calm head in our travel group, but they pushed me to my limits. So when we were at the airport, we were like almost missing our flight because there were so many checkpoints that we had to go through. It's like you had a checkpoint to go into a room and a checkpoint to come out of the room. And it's like so many checkpoints, and we got stuck in traffic. And I was like, guys, and we were all on the same page. There was 5 of us. Like, we are not missing our plane because we need to like move on. And we literally had to run to get on the plane. And when we took off and the wheels went up, it was like, it was such a feeling of relief.
Oh,
and it's such a blessing of like our country. And we weren't necessarily heading, we were heading back to France just as a connection, but we knew once we were in the air, we were good. And God bless America, because when I got back home, I'm thankful for being American and being here. But it's like sometimes you go through these experiences and it makes your gratitude like more tangible. Because now you have like a reference point. It's not theoretical. Like, your gratitude is not theoretical. It's like things could be a lot different.
Oh yeah, they could. Yes, they could.
Hold on.
Well, Stephen, okay. Love curious. How do you guys balance the serious topics of grit and resilience with keeping the show fun and engaging? You always seem to nail it. Well, thank you for the compliment, first of all.
It's good.
And me being me, I have to go back to, what is it, the 80s, maybe 90s. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have it. Facts of life.
Excellent.
You just got to keep it going, and that's it. You really just can't bottle it up and be all day.
I think part of it is I'm a curious guy. I love meeting new people. I will talk to anybody.
Yeah, we know.
There's that levity.
And, and just learn so much about people and their situations and what they're dealing with. I find it so interesting, and that's why I was apprehensive about doing the show at first, but once I got into it and started meeting people, I love it. I look forward to Tuesday every week, and I like engaging with our listeners when they ask questions. It's I love it. We got time for one more. Then I've got some questions for Mr. Campbell here.
All
right. What's something about running the ToosDay Crue that might surprise the audience? Any behind the scenes stories you can share?
Jake isn't wearing pants right now.
Okay. Yeah. True statement.
It's confirmed.
We have shirts on.
we do have shirts on. But yeah, that is a true statement. And people might think that this is probably liquor in this cup. It is not. It is a polar seltzer water. So,
we're doing NASCAR now. I'm drinking Joe's.
Nice. Okay. First of all, before I ask you your questions, the book can be bought anywhere that books can be bought. It is The Happiness Equation. Get it?
Your happiness equation.
Your happiness equation. I beg your pardon.
No worries.
And get out there, get this book, get happy. Being happy is just, it's amazing. That doesn't mean that you have to be happy and smiling 24/7. Bad things are going to happen. You're going to get upset. You're going to get a little ticked off. Okay. Now for your question, we ask each of our guests, what are 3 non-negotiables every morning when you get out of bed that you have to do?
Okay. So one is I have to pray and read my Bible, at least a passage, before I do any work.
Okay.
So that's one thing. I definitely brush my teeth every morning. So that's a non-negotiable. And I have to touch my wife before I leave. So it can be a kiss. If she's sick, then I have to physically touch my wife before I leave the house. So those are 3.
Okay. Hey, those sounds like 3 great things to do before you leave the house. Leighton, it has been fun. Very interesting conversation. Really enjoyed it. And we hope that and there's his website up there again to get on there and take your test. And hey, after you sell
a book there too.
Yep, you can.
After you sell 1 million copies of the book, we'll have you back on. You can talk about that.
From your lips to God's ears, and I would be very happy to come back.
Awesome. Misfit Nation, we love you. Thank you for all the questions tonight. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next Tuesday for the ToosDay Crue.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Good night.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit